The advertising messages in this podcast episode are paid for by Ipsen. To learn more about a treatment option for metastatic pancreatic cancer, go to ipsen.com.
The Leadership Development Committee is one of the most important member volunteer positions in the organization, and here's why. The main purpose of the LDC is to recruit, vet, and select ONS's Board of Directors.
You're listening to the Oncology Nursing Podcast, where ONS Voices talk cancer, a resource from the Oncology Nursing Society. Through conversations with subject matter experts, we examine the important issues in oncology nursing, from new treatments to patient-centered research to advancements in clinical practice. Join us as we hear from nurses in all facets of oncology care, from bench to bedside and everywhere in between. Welcome to the Oncology Nursing Podcast. Hello, and welcome to the Oncology Nursing Podcast. I'm your host, Jaime Weimer, Manager of Oncology Nursing Practice at ONS. And today we're talking with Nancy Houlihan, past ONS President and former Director of Nursing Practice at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in New York, New York, about what it's like to serve on ONS's Leadership Development Committee, or LDC. Welcome, and thanks so much for joining us today, Nancy.
Thank you so much, Jamie.
To get started, can you briefly describe what the LDC does as part of ONS?
Well, first, Jamie, I just want to say I'm delighted to have the opportunity to speak to our listeners about the importance of volunteering at ONS and adding the voice and expertise of membership to association leadership. The Leadership Development Committee is one of the most important member volunteer positions in the organization, and here's why. The main purpose of the LDC is to recruit, vet, and select ONS's Board of Directors. As some of you may know, it has been 3 years since we moved away from members voting for directors. This was a very serious decision by past boards who recognized that voting participation had sunk to less than 5% of membership, and that the future of ONS required a diverse board with a strategic perspective and fiduciary and other governance skills to lead oncology nursing forward. The LDC was designated to take on this far greater responsibility of selecting directors with those characteristics. In addition to selecting new board members, though, another important role of the LDC is to identify needs within the membership and offer leadership development activities that support those members with an interest in leadership to carve a path that prepares them for leadership opportunities.
Thank you for that, Nancy. I think it's really important for us to start with that sort of grounding understanding of what the LDC does for us here at ONS. Now, what roles have you served in on the LDC, and how has your past leadership experience prepared you for them?
So I am in my second year of a 3-year term on the LDC, and I am the incoming chair for 2025. I have been involved with ONS for many years, volunteering for roles as an educator, a presenter, author, chapter member, and chapter board member, editorial board member, Congress planner, and a member and chair of the former nominating committee, which was replaced by the LDC. In 2019, I was elected to the Board of Directors and served as president of ONS from 2021 to 2023. I was the famous pandemic president. After finishing my term on the Board of Directors, I applied and was appointed to the LDC. I feel like I have come full circle, developing my knowledge and leadership skills over 25 years, both at ONS and in my professional career, applying them to ONS leadership as a director and an officer, and then transferring that knowledge to work with a diverse team of ONS members on the LDC to build the best slate of directors.
So if any of our listeners are interested in exploring how to serve on the LDC, how would our listener do that? What is the application process like, and what are the qualifications required to apply?
So there are 7 members of the LDC, and 2 members roll off each year, requiring replacement. Every September, an announcement calling for applications to serve on the LDC is distributed through every form of communication at ONS, direct email, weekly and monthly publications, and social media. Applicants are referred to the LDC webpage for directions and resources. The current Board of Directors reviews submissions, interviews qualified candidates, and selects the new LDC members. The qualifications to serve on the LDC include a knowledge of ONS as an organization and a commitment to its mission and vision. It requires experience, knowledge, and skill in leadership roles, concepts, and leadership development. It requires an understanding of governance, of the roles and the elements of effective boards. And of course, it requires evidence of local and national oncology nursing network. And then if you see the website, you will see a full position description for LDC members.
For those that are selected, what are the duties of the committee members of the LDC?
I've already described the duties related to the Board of Directors selection and building leadership skills among interested members. LDC members must commit to monthly 60 to 90-minute virtual meetings and 3 to 4 day in-person meetings twice per year, which does require travel. It also requires attendance at ONS Congress for 4 days with working meetings while you're there, and attendance at the Bridge Conference virtually. The work between meetings consists of ongoing networking with potential candidates for leadership roles. It requires participation in recruitment and development activities such as the roundtable discussions and presentations at ONS Congress and Bridge, and answering other requests for information such as chapter meetings and meeting with individuals. There's an annual review and editing of processes based on experience and discussion with board leadership, and the review of the NOI and full applications of candidates for the Board of Directors. As you can imagine, reviewing the notifications of intent packages and the full applications, references, and interviews is very time-consuming and requires significant at-home and meeting time to complete. The application process is rigorous. The LDC members are the stewards of that work, ensuring fairness and ending with the best possible Board of Directors.
Now, as you mentioned, you will be serving as the chair of the LDC in the upcoming year in 2025. Can you describe the internal process used to select the incoming chair?
The chair is selected by the current LDC members from self-nominated members of the LDC who submit an application and make a presentation at a regular meeting, and the selection is made by a secret ballot.
And as the chair, what are the specific or unique duties that you will have?
The chairperson of the LDC sets the agendas and leads all of the LDC meetings. The chair coordinates committee work and schedules with the extremely competent ONS staff assigned to work with the LDC. The chair leads annual goal setting and liaises with the ONS president about board goals, potential candidates, and the board's need for leadership.
And how does the LDC work with other volunteers or other ONS staff members?
So the LDC collaborates with the boards of each corporation, ONS, Oncology Nursing Foundation, and the Oncology Nursing Credentialing Corporation, at annual joint board meetings, and this is around strategic planning and other ONS enterprise initiatives. They meet with the ONS Board of Directors to review selection processes, and they work with the ONS executive leadership team around new initiatives and ONS staff to manage the work of the committee and communicate announcements with members. The LDC must maintain awareness of all member opportunities within ONS so they can direct potential candidates to appropriate roles.
So in serving on the LDC, what effect do you think it has on oncology nurses and nurse leaders?
So each member of the LDC recognizes the importance of their role in identifying future leaders. They regularly interact with chapter members and leaders and others to relay the opportunities and processes for leadership roles. As I mentioned already, the LDC annually offers roundtable sessions at Congress and Bridge. They are advertised to appeal to nurses with an interest in leadership in general, as well as at ONS. Every year, dozens of nurses attend these sessions with individual goals and take advantage of discussion with other nurses and one-to-one meetings with LDC members. This can be extraordinarily helpful for those seeking a development path and the resources to get there. LDC members often approach proven leader volunteers about considering other leadership service. I think we all appreciate how tapping someone can really make a difference in how people assess their own strengths and their readiness to move ahead. Volunteering in one project and networking with colleagues from all over the country often leads to skill building and other leadership opportunities. An important component to this role is meeting the diversity needs on the board, and every effort is made to ensure that our net is cast wide and is inclusive. While the skill set for board service is at a higher level, we uphold ONS principles relative to belonging and look for an inclusive complement of directors.
Well, as I'm sure you are very aware, serving in a leadership role can be time-consuming and challenging. What are the benefits of working in a leadership position, specifically in a specialty organization?
This is an important point, Jaime. Volunteer work and serving an organization requires commitment of time and hard work. But there is a reason so many of us do it. The rewards are enormous in terms of your own development, the relationships you form, and the career opportunities you generate for yourself. The timing in your life, of course, has to be right to take on this commitment. Frequently, the LDC works with qualified candidates who opt to wait to move forward because of work commitments, graduate school demands, or family concerns, and come back when their lives are more settled enough to take on the commitments of ONS. Supportive employers is a required part of the application for the LDC and the board of directors, since time away from work can be challenging. However, many employees see ONS affiliation as a positive for their organization and are willing to engage in discussions with you about how to make a leadership role possible with your work responsibilities.
The advertising messages in this podcast episode are paid for by Ipsen. To learn more about a treatment option for metastatic pancreatic cancer, go to ipsen.com. Now, from a personal perspective, what effect has serving on the LDC had on you as an oncology nurse and nurse leader?
Serving on the LDC is an honor and a privilege. Obviously, I believe in the mission of ONS and am invested in making sure that there is a future for oncology nursing through ONS. That requires strategic leadership, and the energy spent in securing the most thoughtful, visionary leaders is time well spent.
For any of our listeners who are interested in serving leadership positions, including the LDC, what qualities or skills do you think would help a nurse be successful in that endeavor? And what are some ways to build those qualities and skills?
There is no one path to leadership at ONS or leadership in general, but there are some important steps that have made others successful. On the ONS leadership webpage, there is a link to the AONL Competency Self-Assessment Tool. This is a great place to start to really understand what your strengths and what your needs are in terms of working towards a leadership role. You can use your results to learn your strengths and how to build on them. Also, you can recognize your opportunities for growth and think about what learning opportunities you might have to strengthen those areas. And you can find those resources and opportunities on the ONS Leadership Learning Library. There is a link there for that as well. I also recommend that you complete the course. There's a link there for it as well on the effective governance and the role of board members. I think unless you've served on a board, you don't really understand what's involved. And that course really can answer all of those questions and meet those learning needs that people have for really understanding what's required to serve in these kind of more advanced leadership opportunities. I also suggest that members volunteer to participate in opportunities at ONS where they can develop themselves and learn more about the organization. ONS has streamlined those opportunities and regularly advertise ways to share your strengths on an array of projects: ONCC test development, abstract and manuscript reviews, Congress and Bridge conference planning, and providing subject matter expertise. Look for those calls for volunteers in all of the ONS communication tools. Chapters are a wonderful way to build your knowledge of ONS, and serving on the chapter board is a great skill and network builder. Leadership in your work and at other associations matter and are viewed as valuable ONS positions. So don't underestimate the value that your previous leadership experience will help you to bring to ONS positions. I suggest that you look at current ONS leaders and see their path. The podcasts recorded by CEO Brendan Evigan and the newest board members are wonderful examples. Each director shared the steps they took to grow their leadership strengths on the way to board service. Lastly, explore the ONS Leadership Learning Libraries on the website, which I previously mentioned. There is a vast number of resources there for leadership learning and support. For example, for those looking to build competency, ONS has partnered with the Association of Nursing Leadership for access to their fine courses. Check that out on the webpage.
Thank you so much. And then finally, Nancy, what advice would you give to nurses who are thinking about applying to the LDC?
Well, I'm going to repeat myself here because I think it's really important to use the resources that exist. Go to the LDC webpage and learn all you can about the opportunities and resources. Look at the qualifications and position description and assess how you meet them, or develop a plan to work towards that. Reach out to the LDC at ons.org for questions. Talk to others who have gone where you might want to go. You might be surprised how willing people are to talk with you. Come to the ONS Congress and Bridge roundtables and talk to an LDC member about your goals. If you are not ready for the LDC or the board, there may be another position that fits your preparation and can help you to grow.
Well, Nancy, thank you so much for joining us today on the podcast. I think it's just really important to create some visibility and transparency to what the LDC does, because it does serve such a very important function for our organization, as you described. As we come to the end of our episode today, we like to always close things out with a series of quick fire questions to help summarize some of the topics that we've covered. So to start that off, how can healthcare professionals evaluate their hidden or implicit bias during their service on a committee like the LDC?
Well, the LDC is governed by the ONS principles of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. Each member must have experience and training in DEIB to be considered for membership. Evaluating possible bias throughout our processes is a regular part of our work as we develop outreach strategies and application materials and evaluate each candidate fairly and with equity. We consult with the Board of Directors to assess diverse needs of the board and work to identify those who may add a needed voice at the table. That can include race, gender, ethnicity, etc., to a needed expertise on the board, such as advanced fiscal knowledge or a clinical expertise. The LDC also focuses their professional development as a team each year with readings and discussions to expand thinking and explore potential bias.
What are some of the common misconceptions about the LDC?
Historically, there has been a misconception that you can't, in quotes, break in to ONS leadership. I have served for the last 4 years, and my experience has been that we are always looking for new qualified thought leaders from every possible group that ONS serves. For example, we track what work sites our leaders come from so that we have every subspecialty's voice over time. Last year, we recognized that there had not been an industry-based nurse on the board of directors for many years. So we looked for that specifically in our pool, and one was selected. Bottom line is, ONS needs you. Don't be shy to try. The door is open to discuss, and the right opportunity could be available.
Absolutely. What's something about this topic that's not often discussed, but you wish people knew more about?
2 things come to mind. In all my work at ONS, I am constantly reminded about how smart and influential nurses are and how much they have to contribute. Working with an organization like ONS that unites you with others around a common purpose is very powerful. And secondly, I've said this before, but it's about the rewards, how valuable and enriching volunteering can be both personally and professionally. You will make friends of a lifetime while doing really important work.
What experiences might be helpful if oncology nurses want to get involved in the LDC?
Look at the website and see who is currently on the committee and who they are. Complete a leadership assessment questionnaire. Reach out through the email. Look at the qualifications and assess your strengths. If you have needs, look for other volunteer opportunities where you can contribute and develop.
And what are some additional resources for professionals who want to learn more about the LDC?
I've named a lot of them, but one thing I haven't said, and it's important for every part of our development, is finding a mentor. There are so many leaders at ONS that are willing to meet with you, to talk with you about what your goals are. Certainly starting with the LDC is a way to do that. And, I've kind of outlined already the numerous ways, either through the website, through the roundtables, at conference attendance, and through our email address at ldc@ons.org. ONS needs leaders. We're always looking to talk with people about what their interests and strengths are and how they can develop some of those strengths through various volunteer activities.
Absolutely. Well, Nancy, thank you again for your time with us today and sharing all of your wonderful expertise. Do you have any final comments to share with our listeners?
Well, I think I've covered it all. And I don't think I have anything to add specifically around the LDC. But I would like to take a minute to recognize the work of our ONS leaders and our staff. They are tirelessly committed to the future of oncology nursing and the care of those with cancer and their caregivers. As a leader, I have encountered countless admiring and grateful collaborators across the board, from our oncology colleagues, advocacy groups, industry, members of Congress and the White House, and our international associates. What oncology nurses contribute to health and cancer care does not go unnoticed. ONS is proud to lead us into the future, whatever it may bring.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Jaime, for this opportunity.
Very well said. Thank you so much, Nancy. Thank you for listening to the Oncology Nursing Podcast. Tell us about your favorite part in this episode by leaving a review wherever you download your podcast. For more resources and information about oncology nursing, visit us at ons.org or voice.ons.org. The ideas and opinions shared in this episode represent those of the guest and not necessarily ONS. The advertising messages in this podcast episode are paid for by Ipsen. To learn more about a treatment option for metastatic pancreatic cancer, go to ipsen.com.